Missed anybody there, Steve?
I hadn't slipped and busted it.
You what?
I hadn't slipped and busted it in my driveway yet. It's coming.
Oh man, there was a skating rink out there, wasn't it?
Did you guys feel the earthquake last night?
Uh-uh.
No, we're headed back out to the truck and down I went.
I did feel that earthquake, now that you mention it.
And I got 3 drunks trying to pick me up.
We gotta go. It's 6 o'clock, I'd like to bring the meeting to order. I want to start with the meeting with letting everybody know Mindy is not here this evening. Corey is not here this evening under very bad news. And John Enright, one of our volunteer firemen and good friend of the community for years and years, have taken a terrible turn for the worst. And so it's the family's asked for some close friends and stuff to be with them, and that would be there where they are tonight. However, that's why we have Lisa Beecraft as our backup city clerk. So thanks for being here tonight, Lisa. Let's get our meeting started with a roll call, please.
Richard Gravel.
Here.
Robert City.
Here.
Lou Donaldson.
Here.
Connie Cap.
Here.
And John Winters.
Freeze in.
Thank you very much. I'd like to start with everybody standing, facing the flag. And Robert, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we stay standing, John, in your prayer tonight, could you please pass off our thoughts and concerns to John?
Yes. Dear Lord, thanks for bringing us all together tonight. Hopefully we can get along well and move city business along. But can you be there for John Enright and his family? And we know he has a lot of friends here all over the valley. I think he's very well respected. I know I love the man myself. So if you could help comfort those people. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. John retired from the Wyandotte County Fire Department, working in Kansas City, Kansas. Came down here, become semi-unretired, and worked with our fire department for years, and he was able to bring the experience and the knowledge and the training exercises and you know what, all the things that fire departments are actively doing from day to day, to our fire departments, which became a great asset to our community. So in our prayers, John.
Well, I will say that when Lisa and I first moved here, and she was dead set that we had to get a paddle boat, I bought it from John Enright. And 2 years later, John asked me, "You still got that paddle boat?" And I said, "Yeah, we've used it like 3 times." And he said, "Would you sell it to me?" And I said, "No, but I'll give it to you." So,
Okay, let's start with the approval of the minutes for 1/13 of 25. I'll entertain a motion.
With one change, it is listed as the January 27th meeting minutes as provided.
Nope.
So I would like that corrected to the January 13th meeting minutes. And other than that, I would make a motion to accept the January 13th, 2025 meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Good catch, Robert. Let's move to, I would like a 10-minute executive session regarding a non-elected employee. And we only need 10 minutes for that. So we'll go to the 10-minute executive session at 6:05 and will return at 6:15. Entertain a motion.
Motion to move to a 10-minute personnel executive session to return at 6:15 PM.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'm here.
Hey, Bev.
Lou forgot to stop by and wake me up.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I had to leave early. Well, you need to fix the attendance. Michael's here. Thanks, Michael.
Yes, I already got it.
Michael, something that you weren't here that I had brought to everyone's attention was, John Enright is taking a turn for the worse. He was he's one of our volunteer firemen. So, had a lot of friends in the community and stuff. I thought you knew him, so. Okay, let's get back to the agenda. We return, no action taken. Let's go to, projects, the water projects. Nothing really more to add other than due to the weather and the contractor, the B&G chose to give the contractors an additional couple weeks for survey purposes, and we are going to award the bid on the second meeting of next month, which is the 24th, I believe. February 24th, we'll be awarding the bids.
The bid's due the 10th?
Water project.
For the water project.
I know, but the bid is due on the 10th?
Well,
the
the
17th.
bids are gonna be due on February 10th,
Yeah.
and we'll award on the 24th. Sewer project, I have no update. I requested an update last week, didn't get one, and I'll follow up with a call to KDHE before Friday. So we'll try to get an update to the sewer project. I also have Jason Solomon with the KRWA. He is the, they refer to him as the sludge judge. He's like, he knows all sewer for the state. So he's the guy that, he's our point of contact with the state for our sewer lagoons. And we're gonna come in, we're gonna do some readings, and we're gonna check the lagoons, and they're pretty stressed right now. Okay, have any questions regarding projects from the council? Okay, being we're talking about the projects, George, anybody would have any questions? Okay, appreciate it, thank you. Okay, I'd like to go to the next item on the agenda, so workshops. I would like to put the city offices workshop on the agenda for the February 24th meeting. And I think if everybody was checking their email, we have, as we go into workshops, we have some decisions that need to be made on behalf of the council, and what direction we want to go and how we want to handle things for 2025 and for the future. Next thing on the agenda is planning and zoning. If you go to a sheet that is in between 3 and 4, but it's on item 4 is on the agenda. If you look at the worksheet, you have, these are things we need to discuss regarding planning and zoning. This year, we had planned to task the planning and zoning to do an update for the comprehensive plan. So that's something that is on the agenda. However, I'm not sure how we'll prioritize that. We'll just, because we have some other things that I have to discuss with you. We've had some people submitting applications for container homes. Okay, Steve has showed them to me. There's some, just like everything else, you have the Taj Mahal of container homes, and you have the lower end of container homes. I would say, what is our next position? We do not have an ordinance that says they cannot build a container home. However, we don't have an ordinance that says we permit a container home, and we do have a container ordinance based on just dropping containers. Tonight, I'm looking for yes and no's to, do we, and we should task this to planning and zoning. We should let planning and zoning look at, a few models of this, what container homes done to home values in other communities. And is a container home gonna affect our community, that we have people living in fifth wheels and campers and still a few in just regular sheds, but they're becoming fewer. And we have a 600 square foot small home ordinance. So, I will go around the room and I will ask the council, your opinion on tasking, for container homes. John?
Yes, I think that planning and zoning look into it.
Okay.
I
Ben?
think we should.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine with me, but I think they'll, anything we do like that, they're just gonna put a stop work order on them. Don't the POA got
The
something? against
POA
it?
won't allow it.
Well,
And so does it do us any good to look into it?
well, I think that's the beginning of it. We turn it over to planning and zoning. Planning and zoning looks at it.
I'm fine with
It's,
that.
planning and zoning should reach out to the POA and ask the POA their position on it. I think the POA's concern with containers in house is how do we keep containers off the ground? You know, cause I've been looking at a lot of container homes, guys, and there are some really sharp systems out there.
And there's some,
But there's some of them that's just a box with a window and a door.
yes.
There's
But
a
that's
lot
why I
of,
think that planning and zoning should look into that.
That's a lot of
So
work.
we're doing our duty with getting it looked into, and
I wanna know that before we task planning and zoning, it's something we're all gonna work with. Because if I task planning and zoning without communicating with you, they'll send something only over here for you to either disapprove, or so if I don't start in this room, it doesn't do me any good.
I think we're all just gonna vote no
Yeah,
anyway.
yes, sir,
No, no,
exactly, so.
There was something on Miami County's website that they were doing a workshop on container homes.
Was it Miami County? It probably is. Miami County's doing, we can, find out that through Olson Studio, which they'll be working on our comprehensive plan, and I was on the committee when we did Miami County's comp plan. So, you know, might be a good source for us to reach out to and, talk to. However, it's a starting stone.
How
What's
many
your
is-
opinion?
How many is?
You, sir?
I'm good with letting them do the research.
Okay, no
I
problem.
just, I'm not sure, and I'm waiting to see what kind of parameters they would put on it, I guess. And-
that's
and I
exactly
can't-
where I'm at.
And I'm kinda, you know, if it's just gonna be a box with a window and a door, no. If it's gonna be a nice insulated livable home, yes.
It'd have to come with parameters, because we don't want because we don't want 5,000 containers on the ground after the first summer. It'd be a type of program that containers would be brought in for projects under supervision. That means Steve has to physically be there to bring them in, to let them bring them in and put them on property. And if it's on a weekend, then they'll need to make arrangements with one of our other authorities, fire department or police department, to through the permit access, to bring them in and set them. Because we have a lot of people like to work on weekends, so.
So,
And,
what kind of lots would they be allowed on?
well, again, that's a conversation that we start with planning and zoning. I would say, under the general principle of what we do now, any one of them would improve a lot of neighborhoods. You know, so. You know, I think we could even include in there the age of the containers that had to be used, because that might be a conversation that we state that it must be of new materials. You can't use used materials. Well, that necessarily doesn't always apply. So, but we would have to set some real strict standards along with, because it's no longer a stick build, it's a steel build, will it require, what kind of welders will it require? I mean, can anybody just, that took shop 101 in high school, are you now a qualified welder to build a container home? Those are not what some of the recommendations other communities have made. It was they had to be certified erectors that actually done it. But I think that's a conversation will come probably toward the end of, is this actually manageable or not?
Yeah, I think one of the stipulations would be that that would not be something that would be allowed as a self-contracted item. You
So-
couldn't have a contractor do it. You couldn't self-contract and build your own container home.
What if
Okay.
I go on the interweb and get my own certification? Container certification.
And you come up here and get your license and have your $2 million in insurance.
I'm not building a container home, Mr. Mayor.
Hey, I was gonna see what you charged. Okay. A couple of meetings ago, maybe even the last meeting, the POA came to their POA meeting with a alternate energy policy. It had to do with,
Wind and solar.
solar and wind and all that. The county has an ordinance, okay? I don't know that in our little community, we need to worry about a wind or solar ordinance. Our area is not conducive for wind because of the trees and oh, wait a minute, we're in the Meridazine Natural Wildlife Flyway. But solar, I again don't know that there's an impact with that based on, you know, they build roofing panels now with solar energy in them. So my position, well, I'll give my position when we go around the room, but is this something that we need to task planning and zoning, or do we need to work on this ordinance? What do you think, John?
Well, I put on solar panels and it's been a very negative process.
Mr. Gravel, he's better with me.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
My first
I
thought was
missed that.
to go around and anyone who let people put solar on their houses be immediately removed from the premises.
Media remove.
No.
Media
I
remove.
don't think that we have enough, I was just messing with you, Rich. I knew that you had troubles on that deal, but, so, I don't think we need to get involved in it.
We got a lot going on. I don't see it. Again, I appreciate that, John. Honey?
I don't know, I'm not for them, I know that. I have a neighbor that's building a house that's running solar, but he's always running his generator because the solar is not keeping up.
I haven't been well aware of that.
I don't see it as something that we need to look at this point in time. I mean,
Richard,
I
I'm
think
sorry.
between state and county.
Sorry you were kicked to the end of the line.
No, that's fine. I guess I missed that part, but anyhow, the only concern I would have is to have qualified, installers that would have some,
Speaking from experience.
yeah, that would have some pride in their work, first of all. Second of all, they have a saying now about orphaned projects. That's when the installers go out of, just disappear. So, and I don't know how you would put that into into an ordinance or anything like that. But,
Well, if I were asking an opinion, I would say that we have a lot of other things that really need to be a priority in what we're trying to accomplish than trying to make, and I came in on the following Monday thinking we were gonna have a rush on solar energy farms. So, after that meeting, so. Anyway, I'll take that as a no. Thank you very much, council. Here's a hard conversation here. 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, Dan Donham came to this council and asked this council to rezone where the Linn Valley LVL Corral is, where the trucks and tires, stacks of tires are. He wanted us to rezone it from an R1, which it is currently an R1, to a commercial. We declined that because I couldn't see zoning a junkyard. And during that time frame, we discussed the RV storage over here. At this particular point in time, I'm informing the council that I'm moving forward with writing a letter to the POA regarding both. The first one for the LVL junkyard. We need to get that cleaned up and removed. I think it's unsightly for the POA. I think it's unsightly for the city that we come in and that's what we observe.
That's the first thing you see.
So, and I would ask them to clean that up, and I'd ask to put it under some time frames so that we could have expectations of how this was gonna get moving forward. For a junker, there's a fortune worth of metal up there.
Oh, yeah.
Just have a junk auction.
Talking about the maintenance department.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. And in reality, I'm to the understanding that a lot of that stuff doesn't even belong to the POA,
It don't.
or none of it.
No, it belongs to contractors and stuff over the years.
So, you know, but we need to get this taken care of. The RV parking. With the RV parking, it needs to either be improved of some type. And if we improve it, what should it look like? Or do we remove it? Ask them to remove it. We're gonna be here for a while. The employees are gonna be in this area. It sounds to me like the council's moving toward us developing something in a remodel up here and saving the money. So consequently, this will be the future for some time. So knowing it's our future is that, and it doesn't get cleaned up, guys. I mean, they drag the old broken ones down out toward the front so everybody can see them and
It's
you
the
know,
same as the
so,
junkyard up there. The first thing you
So-
see, and then you drive up this road, and they got the busted up ones right there
That's just,
against
the walls are falling apart.
and in reality, they got, I mean, instead of it being out here and out of sight, out of mind, maybe they can relocate it inside the gates where it's protected in there and it's a better location. You know what, they got land and area up right there where we're asking them to clean up the truck lots.
Yeah.
You know, the trucks. So the question here is that do we ask them what do we want them to suggest what needs to be done? Or this step, I need the support of the council behind me. I don't need to be trying to make decisions in this room and with city employees that I don't know that I got the council behind us when they're out there getting beat up by the POA because of poor decisions they think we might be making. So,
If it was anybody else's property, would we allow it? That's what we have to ask.
Absolutely not. That's why it's a simple decision for me. You
That's
got my
what I'm
support.
If it was the auto repair place up here, and they had it just junk vehicles setting out, rusting away, falling apart right out on the road, we'd be citing them for it, so I don't know how it's any different.
But when we cite them, we give them a chance to clean it up too, so.
Yes.
Maybe they can clean it, maybe they can come up with a plan to clean it up.
If they wanna
Yeah.
come up with a plan, you know, we got trees growing through trucks back there. I mean,
Oh, I've seen it.
I mean, we got, I bet there's RVs in there that
Can't be moved.
that not only can they not be moved, but they were probably put up with food. I mean, can you imagine what the inside of some of them look like? They haven't been moved in years. And although that I think the POA at times has made great effort in trying to make it, you know, appealable, you know what, it's just so much I think they can do with that area. So with, as I go,
To answer your question, yes, I can imagine what it looks like inside of some of those, because you can see right through them.
I don't know if the POA could just go move somebody's property, you know, around the lot there.
well, basically this, actually
Move all
what,
the junky ones wherever.
actually what comes with this is that becomes a legal matter for the POA because it's the nature of their business. They chose to get in this storage business, not us.
No, I'm just.
I
talking
mean,
about
and this is the hard part, you know what? I hate doing this because right now with the financial, conversations that the POA's been having and the things that they're gonna need to do in the immediate future, I wish there was better things that, I could offer them. But we've neglected this for 5 years now. So I'm ready to, I think I have the staff together to move forward with this, so I think I have a yes.
Yes.
Where were you at, Michael?
I wanna make sure they give them a chance to clean it up or fix it or,
Yeah.
without having to move it, cause that's gonna be a big expensive movement.
We'll draft a letter. I think more so than anything, what I'd like to see is I'd like to see in their response some type of timeframes. You know, so I understand it's winter time, we might not get much done in the dead of winter. But what are some of our timeframes, and let's actually try to stick to them. Robert?
I'm on board.
Richard?
I'm on board, but I think we should give them a time frame, because with the problems that they have already, they're gonna put this on the back burner.
Okay, all right. Give them a time frame.
You're right, Richard.
On pilot light.
Okay, guys, thank you. Okay. For everybody that's listening tonight that happens to be with us, I want to start with a couple things of being clear with the public and some decisions that the POA has made in the past. These are conversations that continue to come full circle and ends up here at City Hall in multiple instances, and I think that let's set the record straight. POA policies do not supersede the city authority, such as the Architect Control Committee versus building and codes. Okay, so that the public knows, please come to the city. You have a responsibility to the POA. However, that responsibility to the city is different. So please follow up with the city. POA policies referencing to the lake are not currently city ordinances. Whether it was a sticker change, a fee, or new rules that may be made in policy by the POA is not enforced by the city based on ordinances. The police department's not going to come out and write tickets based on collections for the POA. And that would include stickers and fees for anything, it's not in a city ordinance. So the police cannot be a collection agency for, have you been up to the POA and paid for your sticker yet? I'm not trying to be discouraging to the POA, but we time and time again get caught up in the fact that the POA creates policy, and all of a sudden, you know, the city now is somehow we're embedded into this new policy. So please check with the city if in an event you have any questions. Okay. Your responsibility to your POA or your HOA is totally different than it is your responsibility to the city. This is a legal responsibility here. Okay. I wish we didn't have to have this one in public either, but when I moved down here 15 years ago, my father moved here 24 years ago. 20% of this community were snowbirds. They were just here in the summer. They come in, you know, and some of them stayed in fifth wheels to start. Some of them built their homes, and that's how this community got started. We've got that many people living in campers and fifth wheels at this particular point in time. That's not the look of a city. It is a look maybe for a full-time campground, 24/7, 365 campground, but I don't know that it is a real look for a city. And I'd like for this council to consider a plan, maybe a 3-year plan or a 5-year plan, that we can decrease and eventually figure out a way we could. It was never designed for full-time living, you know, to put the tanks in and stuff. I don't know, originally was designed so a camper you could live full-time in your camper. With that being said, there is no ordinance that says they cannot, okay? But I find it to be a health and safety conversation. And tonight I'm not asking for a yes or a no, but I am asking this council to keep it on your radar, because we do need to have this conversation. I think, again, I think after this summer, we'll have more people living in campers. And unfortunately, we cannot determine the value of some of these campers. We've got some of these campers we know in pretty bad shape, and it's got to be dangerously cold for them. With that being said, this needs to be on our radar. We need to be discussing it. More and more conversations have been brought up by the county, which the county now has their, isn't this correct? County now has a ordinance referencing living in campers full time.
I heard it, but I haven't seen it, so I,
Okay.
yes, no, maybe.
Okay.
But yes,
So-
I've heard it, but I have not seen something, so I don't wanna say yes, cause it hasn't been put in front of my eyes.
Okay. So, and there's a lot of conversation to go with that. What do you mean health and safety, Lou? Well, for maybe someone like me who was gonna live in it full time, may not be such an issue. But maybe somebody like Lisa that was gonna live there with her children, maybe that would be a conversation of health and safety. So, you know, just think about it, guys. You know what? We don't have to overturn the cart today, but I can tell you, it's all part of us being more like a city and less like a campground. Which brings us to the next one, the operation of the businesses in the city. The ones that I am most directed at are the ones that are out front, that are in the retail business. Okay, when we all stood up, held our hands to the oath, and said we all swear to uphold the statutes of the state, the county, and the city, you know, right here is, if you go to another city to get a business license, before you can get that, you've had to go to the federal government and get a fictitious name for your business license, and you've had to go get a state sales tax number. Then you go get your city business license. How do we know that how do we know that they pay tax? Number one. And number two, how do we know that we are being fair to the end user, to the retailer? Okay, so the sheds that are right out here. They are under a business name, you know, but does he have all the requirements that a city would ask for a business license? So, now this is one that I'm gonna ask you guys to say yes or no on, because one of the things that I do not wanna do, Jamie, is my intent is not to impact people who work from home for IT. You know, nor do I wanna impact people and put people under the radar that may, may just be helping people. So for however this business may, how this may work and doesn't work, again, it starts with conversation and it gets tasked to the planning and zoning. Now, I'm not gonna turn all this over to planning and zoning at once, but these are things that are gonna go in front of planning and zoning. So, you know, with that, for short term, Richard, what's your opinion on the operation of businesses in the city?
Well, the sheds over there by the lake shop, I had no clue who owns them or who's running that business, cause I was under the impression that, Huff was running it as part of the lake shop, a side business. So, but,
It's not part of the lake shop business anymore.
yeah, okay. So, I mean, to me, there's no sign up that we don't know if there's any credentials there, so I would agree with requiring it.
Robert?
Yep, I agree. Anything where you're actually having an open to the public business where you're going to have people coming in and out or anything along those lines should be required to have a business license. And anytime you're selling merchandise, you should have to have one as well so we can verify that you
No.
are collecting taxes
Well, let
properly.
me ask this real quick. If somebody was to buy one of them sheds without a business license, is he gonna pay our city tax?
No, that's just it. That's just it. I mean, if he doesn't have his business license was attached to that store. Did he actually go out and get another business license after he done that? I don't know. I think that, first off, we have people that service our community that helps us. We have people who, you know, helps us with working on lawnmowers, or whether it's boats, or whether it's golf carts. And you know what, I don't want people that are being more helpful than it's about finances and profit. I don't want to see them people impacted. The contractors that are merely just sleeping at home, and some of them do work in here, but they don't have storefronts up. I don't know that they should be the people that are impacted. However, what I don't know, I don't know. That's why we ask planning and zoning to look at, and we're always, our little community is always a little bit different. You know, there's always something weird about everything that we want to try to do. It seems to impact two different people, two different ways. You know, but you know, it's a conversation. Do we start with that? So, Michael, it's what's your thought?
I'm fine with it, sending it to them. They can look into it.
Okay.
I
Connie.
think they should be licensed.
I concur.
Okay. Okay, appreciate it, guys. Looking into Airbnbs. Robert, you have an update?
I did get a copy of the ordinance and different information from McPherson, Kansas. I've got that over to legal. Jamie, I think you said it looked good.
Yeah, it looks
pretty
fine.
standard.
I mean, like you and I talked about, the issue is not so much, I mean, the ordinance is fine. Just, you can tweak how you guys want it to be, but the bigger picture is, you go, you know, the public goes, well, that's just another tax that's added. Public has to make sure they understand it's not the public being taxed, it's the entity that is actually wanting to do the Airbnb. And I think it's very important that that is understood, so the public understands that if that's put in place, it is not a tax that the public is bearing the cost of, It's a tax of an entity that is running a business, which would be an Airbnb. They're the ones that are being taxed for having that Airbnb put in place.
And ultimately, the person renting the Airbnb pays the tax, so.
Correct.
We're getting something out of potentially people who would not otherwise be in our city,
Correct.
so.
3.5 years ago, it was put in front of planning and zoning that should we allow Airbnbs, and planning and zoning came back with no real reason not to allow them. So I think this task would be to ask, planning and zoning to just look at, what, permitting, Airbnbs. And I think the reason we need to go to planning and zoning with this one also is that the conversation makes Airbnbs as a short-term lease. So as we move into this conversation of short-term leasing, it just will not affect, I'll give you a good example. It won't just affect the Airbnbs, but short-term leases will be the RV park up here, the POA leases out. So, as we look at them, and then I don't know the legal part of, can we require a permit for a short-term rental called Airbnb, but we don't require, a permit for something else that may be short-term.
That's how you define it.
Short-term.
Well, I think the way that it was defined in the ordinance was more along the lines of being transient, meaning the person renting it was not going to be long-term. They were.
Correct. Then it becomes, when you say short-term, then the question is, what is short-term? Are you discussing, is somebody a resident there for 6 months and they've changed? Is it someone that's there for 6 months for business? Is it an Airbnb where someone is using it for the purpose of week on, 2 days? It's all gonna depend on how you define it. Which is a lot of work that you guys have to figure out of what you want.
Right. Again, I think it's another conversation that starts with planning and zoning. You know what, every one of us can try to become the expert, but we have a group of people that's supposed to be the experts. It's planning and zoning and our planner, which is Shelby with Olson Studios. So with all that being at hand, we've got the group in front of us. We just need them to do the research. My thought was have them do the research. And maybe it isn't appealable. Maybe it isn't appealable, nor does it really impact our community. But I can tell you that we're becoming a business note for people from the outside to come in to buy a few lots and to build short-term and long-term rentals. We're becoming a business opportunity, which is becoming a big part of our community. That has been a big part of our community for a long time, but it's becoming bigger with all the new things that come with the future, and that's Airbnbs. Other cities are doing it, and from larger ones to second class to, we'll do some research, see how many third class are doing it, but what's your thought on it, John Weirs?
Yes.
Connie?
Yes.
Always heard a lot of talk about Airbnbs. I wonder how many we really have here.
I don't know. Why don't we make that a task? Why don't I see if we can't find out how
It
many
makes it worth the trouble if we got one.
Oh, we have at least 2 dozen.
B and
You
B.
know that for sure?
Between Airbnb and VRBO, yeah.
I'd like to know how many there is.
And that's not including the campground or the cabins rented.
I'm not saying you're not right.
DOA.
I want to see it. I
Yeah.
want to see it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to see it on paper.
Well, I think your other problem gonna be is there's a difference between someone that's advertising officially, which you can calculate a number, versus how many people are just doing it going, hey, come rent my place, which you
On
wouldn't know.
Marketplace or something.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, that's really an Airbnb, it's just they're not advertising through the proper channels.
I see them every once in a while.
Yeah.
You know, I had a camper rent for the summer on my lot,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Again, functioning and acting like a city, as we look at these things. Planning and zoning can offer us the opportunity. Robert, where you at? Yay, nay?
On
Airbnbs?
Yeah.
I knew you were. Richard, any input on that?
I just had one question that maybe we should share, and that's the cabins. Would we treat them like an Airbnb also?
Who's that?
What's that?
Cabins?
The what?
The POA cabins?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
'cause that's what, 5?
Again,
How about the campground?
I think it would imply, it would, I think that it could or it couldn't. Because it's a campground, they're actually not renting anything but a
Space.
slab. Okay, so, you know, but, I think that would be conversation, Michael. I think, you know, there's some, as trying to be a city is complicated. As a recreational community for 40 years, it's hard to wean this and become more formidable as a city. Legal would tell you that, you know, becoming a city should be something we really strive for. We're missing a lot of things, even in the court system, with what we try to accomplish with ordinances. You know what, because again, we're not conducting ourselves as much as a city as we are a recreational community. So we're going to, the future may come with change. Okay, so
I'm on board with it, but I mean, I'm just clarification as to what the POA owns and Airbnbs, you know, what are we going after?
I think planning and zoning would take a look at that, and first off, that becomes a part of real estate law. That becomes all part of the principle of what that legal aspect is and how it's identified. So that's where our planners come in. So we'll look into it. We'll see if there's any value to it, and I'll get back to everybody. One of the other things I want to do here is I want to go down to a line underneath workshop sewer lagoon project. I talked to Jason Solomon with the KRWA, Kansas Rural Water Association. You know, he's the sled judge for the state. And with that, we have some concerns based on the volumes that we're putting in the lagoons. Okay, it's not getting less, it's getting more. This is a terrible time of year. That lagoon doesn't have the ability without heat and energy to activate and create the activation process that goes with this lagoon. With that is the constant solids we're putting in. Before this was being chopped up and delivered to the lagoon. But now for over a year, since we raised the moratorium, we're still dumping direct. I'm going to suggest to the council that we reinstate the moratorium on the sewer, anything adding to the sewer. That we hold off, and this time we will say no to all permits that will require adding to the sewer. And the length of it this time, I'm gonna ask the council until the new lagoon can receive waste. And this is something that we'll have to get together. We'll have to put the ordinance together. I have to put it together for the council. But before I start that and we get all the documents and stuff together, I want to have the conversation first. We don't seem to be getting much assistance. You know, it just seems to be, we seems to be just growing in spite of ourselves. You know, more gallons and more use and you know, I'm estimating that our values right now are 40,000 gallons a day, about 500,000 gallons a month. So, in that tiny little cell that we got. So with that tonight, I'm asking the council for a yes or a no for me to put this back together to enforce a moratorium, reinstate it. John,
I'm gonna say no for now.
okay?
Do we have any idea how long the new lagoon would take?
That's the reason why I'm no.
Yeah, I'm like, we can't
That's the
put a
only
hold
reason why
on
I'm a no, 'cause
everything,
I
I
don't-
don't know.
We don't have, I mean, I'm fine with you looking into it and stuff, but we need.
No, I was just gonna set an ordinance and ask you guys to pass it. Ask you to motion to pass it. And again, I'm not gonna prepare the work, put it in front of you and ask for you to approve something as you see it. You know, I'm putting it in front of you right now because I don't think that we're gonna break at the rate that the engineers and at the rate the state has been, speed they've been working, I'm afraid we may not get them lagoons in this year.
And remember something, the state's gonna be slow, let me rephrase that. The state is slow when it comes to the lagoons. But you know damn well they're gonna be real quick when those lagoons get too full and come in and bark up your tree, wanting you to do X, Y, and Z to get it corrected or shut it down.
And here's where Shelley Underwood comes in, which I wanted to bring guys up to speed to that. She can reach right out to the powers to be and find out where we're at on the desk. So, which she's doing for me. So,
I don't-
but let's, Michael, you want to
My
talk about it?
personal opinion don't really matter. But I've heard a lot of people in the community say they wanna slow this progress down, so.
And that would, it's too.
How about you, Robert, what's your take on this?
Well, my opinion on this still hasn't changed. While I agree we have to do something to try and keep our lagoons under control,
Right.
I have seen nothing kill cities faster than stopping building. Because once people just don't come back. So, it's a double-edged sword, so I'm just not sure if stopping, because I mean, you're basically, you can't build a house, you can't
Yeah, nobody's
do
gonna
anything
build,
if you can't do sewer.
not be able to
So-
hook up.
Richard,
I'm kind of with John. If the lagoons are gonna be built within a year, we might, just business as usual, but if it's gonna be over a year, I can see us getting in trouble.
well, a year, you have to keep this in mind. This is January. For a year, this goes clean to next January.
Right.
Okay, that is 500,000 gallons. If we don't add another drop than we're collecting right now, you know what, that's another 6 million gallons. That's a third of our water use. So I understand that the council wants to be respectful and cautious here. I have Jason Solomon, he hasn't given me a date, but he should be in-house in the next couple weeks. So, with that, I will offer a report to the council from Jason, KRWA, and we'll, address it again. Fair?
I think you should leave it an open question to see how that's gonna go out there.
Okay. I agree.
We know we're dumping way too much in there already.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I just, like I said, I wanna provide you all the data you need, all the information that you need to make good decisions, so we'll see what, the sludge judge has to say. Okay, all right. This is good. All right, guys, we just knocked out a workshop tonight. For whatever it's worth, it might have taken us, we might have been here 5-10 minutes longer. but we just completed one of the workshops, and you've given me a directive. Example being, I do not need the council's permission to task planning and zoning. Okay, but again, it makes more sense to me to work with you guys rather than you see something come over for the first time. And I remember Councilman Hiphill, doing that, you know, that's what legislature is about. That's what we do, is we sit down, we go over these things, and we try to make the best decisions with all the information we gather. So I appreciate that. Okay, old business. Before I ask you guys, I have an update with the meeting with Shelley on Thursday of last week on 123. She's really excited about getting back in with the city and starting to work with the city again and with these projects. She'll be helping us when we start our workshops. She'll be helping us with the water project and along with the sewer, you know, and decisions we have to make from price rates to ordinances to decisions. She'll be there to help us with that. So with that, I just wanted you guys to know that she, before she had left, wrote a 600-page report on our community, you know, based on, you know, how she's seen us, how she's seen our growth. I haven't seen that report, but I'm interested in reading it because it's about 4 or 5 years old. I'd like to see actually what she put in there that might have actually came to play.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I have with that. Anybody else have any old business? Anybody have any new business? Okay. Awareness, new business. I have had a conversation with Michael Johnson, president of the POA. He thinks that it might be very advantageous for us to maybe have a meeting with Shelley Underwood and Shelley come in and talk to us about our total infrastructure and maybe what the future is, or what by design, what can the city do to help? Example being, the POA has, on top of a few things that we have for them, they have a repair to a dam to take care of. That's $4 or $6 million. I'm not sure where POA gets $4 or $6 million. It was built by the Corps of Engineers. So the consequence would be, is there some opportunities there for the city to help? Okay, I believe there possibly could be.
I thought they had some grants available.
Pardon?
I think I heard they could get a grant available.
Could they? Well, if they can, that would be very, very beneficial. I do know that again, city's opportunity to acquire affordable grants are much greater than a private entity. The other one was they would like to know if they think that we would be maybe better suited to handle the roads, which we've had this conversation in short. It's not particularly a business that we want to get into, but I guess the question the city needs to ask ourselves is that, you know what, remember Cindy Smith used to talk about, you know, pay now, pay later. The pay now, pay later concept. You know, and this is a situation that if the POA fails, we all will pay for this later. Okay, so, you know, I will do, and I hope the council would agree with me that we would step in and we would try to do what we could legally do and we could afford to do, to where maybe it didn't cost the community twice. So, as we continue to look into these things here, again, I want the council to know and the public to know what conversations we do have and we don't have with the POA. So, anybody have any new business? Okay, questions from the audience. George, you have any questions tonight? Okay, Jamie? Very good. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys.